and welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Baggage. My name is Shayna.
Wait a minute, before I give my name, what happened to the music that normally starts this thing off?
That's always done post-production. That's never...
Oh, post-production. No, we're getting into the technical stuff.
That has never been...
It's one of my favorite shows now. Yeah.
Is it? Oh,
yeah,
well,
not really, but it's not really.
It will be there, but post-production, so...
Post-production. My name is Paul, also known as Rutgers Mo.
Awesome. So we started off filming this episode in the same way we've done with a tradition. It took us an hour and a half.
I don't know how long
did it take us?
It was like hell. It was horrible.
Our tradition with Excuse My Baggage is, even though we have everything set up, this always takes us over an hour because we always have technical difficulties.
It shows we're idiots. Just make the damn thing work.
Well, it is. And it will be. And the music will be where it needs to be post-production. But at least for now,
yes.
This is just how we start off every episode is we just have to factor in an hour of
annoyance.
Yeah. Before.
Yeah, so it's essentially Groundhog Day.
Essentially, it's Groundhog Day.
We're back to that episode.
To Groundhog Day again. We're back to that episode again. We're going to bullshit our way through this episode.
And we're going to let it go. We're going to let it go.
We're going to let it all go.
No. We're not letting it go.
Nothing.
The groundhog is still alive and well and kicking. And the bullshit is still flowing. That's about it.
Still flowing, exactly. But that's what we're doing, and that's what this podcast is all about. So
it is really.
Well, with that being said, I thought that we could start off with talking about another interesting tradition. Leaving behind and letting go the tradition of technical difficulties, a tradition that I thought would be nice to talk about is the tradition of Meatball Tuesday. So, for a little background of, can you scoot this way? You've like scooted yourself out of the frame. There you go. Okay.
Well, somebody we know here, one of us was directing me as to where I should be going. Remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, the podcast would be better if you were just...
If I just keep going this way, you won't see me at all.
I just get it there. Perfect.
Yeah.
Stay.
All right, that's great. You look really good when I don't see you.
Exactly. But
all right.
Getting back to it, Meatball Tuesday. You might be asking yourself, the sole listener, why does Excuse My Baggage get posted Tuesday? Is there a significance behind it? And the answer is there's a significance behind everything. Because if you want to connect the dots, you can connect the
not the damn dot
you
connection.
You can connect the dots wherever you want to connect the dots. And there's a reason why we post on Tuesdays. It's because it's Meatball Tuesday. Dad, would you like to tell the story of what the hell is Meatball Tuesday?
Geez, I almost fell asleep during that. Okay, well, Meatball Tuesday started when you were just a little kid. I basically saw a cartoon that was drawn by an underground cartoonist named R. Crumb. The cartoon was these two women who were in Jersey City, but that's critical because they were in New Jersey. And meatballs fell from the sky and hit them in the head. And then they became enlightened. And when they became enlightened, all of the concerns were gone and they got along. And this happened all over the world. So I used to do a little thing with you. I'd basically kind of bonk you in the head and I would say, bonk. Your mother would say not to do that because I was damaging your brain cells. That's obvious at this point.
Oh, it's obvious that she was...
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was a mistake.
Wow.
But in either case, I used to just kind of bonk you in the head.
Yeah.
And
I used to literally run away from you on Tuesdays growing up. I knew if it was Tuesday, and I knew that it was coming at some point in the day, multiple times in the day, I was just going to get whacked in the head. And mind you, we don't need Child Protective Services getting involved. I mean, I'm an adult now, so too late for that.
It's a little late.
A little late for that, but
where were you when I needed you, right?
I know, yeah, good job, CPS, but it was not a hard hunch to the head. This might be my earliest childhood memory, getting hit in the head by my own dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's sort of like getting hit in the head with life.
Oh, we're going back to another metaphor.
Yes, the queen of metaphors here.
I love it. Yeah. So this is symbolic, exactly.
So we have things like if it's the day after, it's Post Malone or whatever the hell it is.
Post
Tuesday
Malone,
or
Meatball Tuesday.
It's only 5 more days until Meatball Tuesday, or it's 3 days minus.
Every day is Meatball Tuesday if you want it to be.
I think so.
It's kind of like that expression, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's Meatball Tuesday somewhere.
But regardless, we've now exhausted Meatball Tuesday.
Thank you. Jersey City.
Exactly.
It's a tradition that I hope that I get to carry on if I choose to have kids someday. They're going to get hit in the head.
I think even if you don't have kids, you should just adopt a couple and hit them in the head.
I
That'd be the
should.
end of.
I know.
That's it.
Yeah.
Just
You know
come
what?
over
I will
here.
say
Just
I
whack 'em
might
in the head.
remove the whacking in the head part, but I will keep
No,
the
no,
bonk. Well,
no. Go for the full bonking.
okay. I'll yes.
I see.
Fist. You
See,
gotta
yeah,
you gotta do
yeah,
the
you
you
suck.
gotta be ready. Yeah.
And this
So
is what we did. All right, very good.
but so I guess with that being said, thanks for explaining a little bit more about the tradition of Meatball Tuesday and elaborating of why Excuse My Baggage is posted on a Tuesday. So whether it's Meatball Tuesday, whether it's holidays, whatever it is, I feel like I've become a type of person where I love a good tradition, but a tradition that is really meaningful to me is one that's actually coming up that I partake in every March 1st. Every March 1st, I will have shrimp for dinner with friends. And so I would like to kind of tell the story behind why I have shrimp on March 1st. So backtracking a little bit, my mom, your wife number
2 and 3.
2 and 3, yes. So she passed away of cancer March 1st of 2019. And yeah, it hits hard. And we're coming up on the 6-year anniversary this March. I found out she passed away when I was a junior in college. And I was kind of really immersed in my schoolwork and academics to kind of serve as a distraction from the pain that like I was seeing happening with mom and seeing her health decline. And so I kind of separated things. And I wouldn't really talk about my mom's health that much to like friends or
you disassociated.
I disassociated. That's basically what I did. One day at the end of February in 2019, I was with a friend doing a project for a class. This was a close college friend. His name is Ricky. And we were having a conversation and he said, "Hold up for a second. I feel like you're going 100 miles per hour," which I was. I was like, I got to do this project. I have this homework assignment. I have this essay I have to do. And he was like, "Hold up. You haven't talked about how your mom's doing in a really long time or how you're feeling about things. Do you want the space to kind of like check in? Like, how are you doing?" And that was kind of like a little like wake up for me where I was like, yeah, like I've been disassociating. I have not been talking about it. And to be quite frank, I'm freaking the hell out. What if my mom doesn't make it to see me graduate college? I kind of just was talking about a lot of fears that I had. And he, great friend, was giving me the space to do so. And so he ended up saying, "Well, how about this? You haven't seen your mom in a while. Why don't we go down to visit her tomorrow? Let's cook her a meal together and let's make shrimp." The next day came March 1st, 2019. And I was trying to reach out to mom. I gave her a few calls. She wasn't answering my calls. I texted her and I wasn't getting any responses from her, which was my first red flag of like something's going on. Long story short, I ended up getting a call from the police that she was found and she had passed away. And obviously, there's a lot of different layers to this story because that day really changed my life. That was the day I lost my mom. And obviously that kickstarted a lot. Like I was flung into adulthood, flung into dealing with a lot of life that you just have to deal with when you lose a parent. But every single year after March 1st, 2019, Ricky, Anna, some other close friends, we will go to the cemetery to visit where my mom is buried, and then we go and cook shrimp together. So that is why every year on March 1st, I have a shrimp dinner. That is a tradition. It's not the happiest one. You know, it's not not a birthday, it's not Christmas, it's not Hanukkah. It is a way of commemorating the woman who gave me life, but it is a tradition that I know I am going to do for the rest of my life. I would make it a tradition with my family of like, "Hey kids, it's March 1st. If it falls on a Tuesday, not only are you going to get hit in the head, but you're also going to get some shrimp for dinner," you know?
Well, just the interesting little thing that I just wanted to throw in there was March 1st is also your grandfather's birthday. He was born in Poland in 1905 and is in the same cemetery. So while you're at it, say hello to your grandparents.
I will.
But the thing is, truthfully, you don't have to be there to say hello.
I know.
If you believe in the universe the way you seem to, you could be anywhere.
They're everywhere.
Right now, you're communicating with your mom,
Literally.
your grandparents,
Yeah.
all of them. So, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, to me, every single day is a reminder of like the people that came before me that got me here. Like I'm alive due to thousands.
that's part of what a tradition is.
Yeah.
Tradition, just saying that you do it once a year, and I totally agree with you. Saying every 10 years we do this. What about the other 9 years and whatever it? No, we don't even think about it. But now we have to think about it. No, I think that your viewpoint is very accurate, and that's really a sign of love. Tradition is a way of imparting not only the history, but it's also a way of commemorating. It's keeping the tribes alive, and that's important to a lot of people. If that doesn't resonate with the sole listener or anybody else, that's too bad. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have shrimp, because you are. And I might have some too.
Please.
You know, absolutely.
March 1st, have a shrimp dinner. So in the past, I've done shrimp kebabs. I've done sauteed garlic shrimp. Last year, I did a cashew shrimp. It was good. It was really good.
Specifics aren't really that important, candidly.
I know, but I'm just giving you some ideas. It's your time to go crazy with the shrimp recipes.
If there's a red lobster near me, they'll be getting my business. We're digressing now. As my daughter, I really do respect you for doing that. And I think it's wonderful. I think it really is great.
Thank you for inspiring me and keeping traditions alive. Like another tradition that we have that I love is that every time I go to visit you up in Washington, I always have to bring Catella Deli cookies.
Alamitos.
It's a specific bakery in Los Alamitos, California, and they have this very specific sugar cookie. It's a sugar cookie, chocolate frosting, peanut M&M, the trifecta. It's great, and my dad likes it, and I like it, and every time I visit, I'll always just bring a huge box of cookies.
And your mom used to like, and now I like them, your mom used to like the multicolored chocolate with the different marzipan layers, and that was her favorite. So it's a tradition. It's a tradition.
And I hope they never go out of business. And if so, I guess I will find a new thing, but we're not going down that road.
It just hit me. It raises an interesting conversation I had with the owner of Catella Deli one time. You're probably very young. And in either case, we were going there for a specific meal. Your grandmother was there. Your grandfather was there. One of the waitresses came over trying to get our order. She went around the table and she got to me and then started giving me what the options were. And she stumbled over a word, geflet. That's the way she pronounced it, geflet.
Gefilte?
And I said, yeah. And I said, what is geflet? And she said, this. And she points to this word. I said, it's called gefilte.
Yeah.
So then I thought about it. Right. And, it doesn't look good. It's really not bad tasting, but it's hard to get past it. Kind of looks like somebody's brain is on a table, but it's tradition for a lot of people. And I wound up speaking to the owner, and I said, if you were running a taco stand, would you have somebody here who couldn't pronounce quesadilla or taco or burrito? And the answer was, the answer was no.
Oh, wait, this is a line you said to a waitress?
No, this is a line I said to the owner.
I think you're the wrong for that, Dad. She or he, the waiter, waitress, was just trying to do their job. Don't give someone slack because they couldn't pronounce a word.
Pardon me, this happened 15 or 20 years ago, number one. Number two, I would do it again. Number three, I would just question you in terms of, if you work for a French restaurant and you can't pronounce crepes and you call them crepes, a speech?
Okay.
Well, then they shouldn't be working there. Well, they shouldn't be working there. This is not what DEI and... No, you learn it. You spend 10 minutes, you learn 5 or 10 different words, and then you're able to communicate with people who have traditions. And the tradition is hearing gefilte fish, not geflet.
Why don't you come down to California? We're going to go to Catella Deli together, and you could quiz every single waiter and waitress of...
I'm not interested in doing that. Do they know
the correct pronunciation of gefilte fish? I get what you're saying. If you work at a Mexican restaurant and you can't pronounce the word taco, or
taco.
Quesadilla, or...
Would you like a taco?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it is kind of like, get with it, but... Okay, I feel like I was going from a standpoint of well, what if you have a speech impediment? Okay, that's different.
You still learn it.
Okay, I don't know.
You can still learn it. It's not that difficult. But in either case,
boys and girls, gefilte, gefilte fish.
Let's practice it together.
Gefilte. I'll put it on the screen. Okay. Well, I do not recommend eating gefilte fish. It is
it's an acquired taste.
It's blended up fish parts.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but so are hot dogs. And I had a great hot dog last night.
Yeah, hot
Loved it.
dogs are, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. And a tradition that mom had is every time she heard the song, there was a specific song in
Does anybody
Chicago.
know what time it is?
Does anyone know what time it is? Does anyone really care? And she had to
She used to
do
do
a
backwards
back
flips or
bridge.
yeah.
Back bridge? Is that what it's
Yeah.
called?
Well,
She
she
would do a
would
back
walk
bend.
backward. Yeah, back
Yeah.
bend.
And it was anytime she heard that song. And I remember her saying that one time she almost got like kicked off an airplane because they started playing the song. And, you know, she had to do the back bend. It's a tradition. And they were like, "You're on a plane, ma'am. Like, you can't do this."
Everybody's got their own traditions.
Everyone has their own traditions, and my 2 cents of the day is stick with it. If you have something that brings you a sprinkle of joy, as long as it's not hurting anyone, stick with it. Have fun. That's life. So, with that being said, would you consider yourself to be a sentimental person? Why or why not?
Yeah, I think I am sentimental. I remember a lot of dates. I attribute them with birthdays, with significant events. It's not the birthday. It's the thought of the person. Yes, I do feel like I am sentimental. I do feel that I reach out emotionally, and I don't wait until that day, but on that day I try to at least connect with that person to the best of my ability.
I mean, genetics. I'm a sentimental person too. I think I'm more sentimental now in a different way than I was in the past. I used to be very attached to physical items, and I'm not like that anymore. For example, I used to collect things that had meaning to me. At one point, I had a collection of hand sanitizers. That was kind of weird. I collected erasers. I collected rocks. And I didn't have a collection of Cheerios, but I had a singular Cheerio that I kept on the wall of my childhood bedroom for about a decade, I'll say.
Okay, why
And
did you have it?
because it had sentimental meaning to me.
What was the feeling that you were connecting with the Cheerio?
I think I was eating cereal in my bed. I was probably like 13 at the time, having a midnight snack, eating some cereal. And I remember I dropped a Cheerio on my bed, and I think I was like, wow, I think I'm going to remember this day forever. And in order to commemorate this day, I'm going to take this singular Cheerio and I'm going to keep it. It kind of symbolized growing up. By the time I was 17, 18, I still had this damn Cheerio. When it came time to sell our childhood home, I had to learn the process of letting go of a lot of physical things. I had a very symbolic moment where I literally took the Cheerio off my corkboard, put it on the ground, and I smushed the Cheerio. And
that's a technical term. Smush.
Smushed. I smushed gefilte. I smushed the Cheerio. And this is a very prominent memory in my head. I think there's different ways that you could be a sentimental person. I'm not attached to physical things anymore. But I just thought I'd share the story of smushing the sacred Cheerio. But what is an object that you've kept for years, and what makes it so special to you?
Well, I really don't have a lot of items with all of the moving from California to Oregon to Washington. I guess in a way, it's probably my guitar, the cherry guitar, the Guild. It's an acoustic, and it reminds me of a lot of things. It reminds me of my first marriage with Janet. It reminds me of an episode where somebody broke into our home and they wound up stealing my 12-string. I was really angry, and I called the police, and someone came out, and I was saying, like, well, don't touch the sliding glass door. And the guy said, why? I said, fingerprints. And he says, you're watching way too much TV. It doesn't work like that. And so that was kind of unfortunate. I played in the group with that guitar. It was just something that meant something to me. It's also a musical instrument. And as someone who's playing now, you'll probably relate to that. You've played drums, you've played keyboard, now you're playing sax. The guitar has meaning to me because of the sound, the tonality, and music is emotional. Just could be like a chord or two or a riff. And some of those things draw up images of people I've known, people that we've lost.
I
didn't have any Cheerios, though.
No Cheerios. I don't recommend anyone keeping a Cheerio for a decade. But mind you, due to the chemical preservatives, it didn't mold. It was intact for a decade.
It was probably replicating. You could have had a whole box of Cheerios.
Could have. It was mitosis and meiosising.
Mitosis and meiosis and halitosis.
Isn't that bad breath?
Yes. If you eat that stuff, that's what you wind up getting is bad breath.
Yeah.
Probably got mold on it.
Thank you for sharing that too. I appreciate it. Is there a sentimental item that you regret letting go of?
I can't tell you specifically. Like there's a book that your mother got me from the Luxor. She got me a book on ancient Egypt. Now that I mention it also, I remember one time your mom and I were up in Los Angeles, and I don't know how the heck she did this, but she said, wait here for me. And I was driving my car. She ran into a watch shop and came out with a watch. So she must have picked it out before, and it makes me think of her whenever I see it.
I used to have a tradition that used to remind me of both you and Mom, and it was my painted pinkies tradition. So back when I was 19,
whatever.
it was early on in my college days. I started this tradition with myself where I would paint only my pinky finger. So I would leave all my other fingers unpainted, and I used it as a symbolic thing where I would see my pinky and be reminded that it's a pinky promise that I'm making to call my mom and dad and to stay in contact with them. And so every time I would see my hand, which is daily, I would see my pinky and be like, oh, I have to be reminded I need to give my parents a phone call. It's kind of funny because I was mistaken for a Coke addict a few times because of my painted pinky. Apparently there's this thing that people will do where they'll have a pinky that's like weird, and that's typically a telltale sign that someone does cocaine. And there was a few occasions where I got mistaken for being a cokehead because I had a weird pinky, and then I stopped the tradition.
You stopped doing Coke?
Yes. No.
But Coke is the real thing.
Yeah. No, painted pinky was the real thing. I just realized, I should probably maybe just stop painting the pinkies, figure out some other way to be reminded of the people I love. So
this is
painting my fingernails.
This is bringing up an interesting image here, which kind of crosses into a movie. The movie is Annie Hall, which won an Academy Award. I actually was in touch. If you get a chance, watch it. It's worthwhile. I was in touch with the producer. His name was Charles Jaffe. I had written a screenplay along with another friend, a guy named Dane, about the free clinic. And I basically sent him a copy of the script, and I got a hold of his phone number at home. And I called up and said, is this Charles Jaffe? And he said, yes. Who the hell is this? And so I gave him my name, and he said, what do you want? And I said, well, I just wanted to make sure that you could read my script. He said, okay, fine. What script are we talking about? I said, the free clinic. And then he said, well, okay, yeah, all right, fine. You found me. Go ahead and send it. And I said, where? He said, anywhere. I'm in all of the studios. Now, several weeks pass. Why I'm telling this story, I have no idea at this point, but I'm into it, so I'm doing it.
Keep going.
And several weeks pass, and I call up, and in those days, they don't have, cues or artificial intelligence or any of that stuff. It was a series of people picking up a phone. One moment, please. One moment, please. And you eventually get to the head honcho, which was, in this case, Jaffe. And I heard him on a speakerphone. So I said, Charles, yes. He said, this is Paul. And I said, yeah, okay, great. And I said, I just want to know what you think of my script. He said, horrible. Just absolutely horrible. And in either case, he wound up saying something to the effect of, paper and pencil are not your friends. Don't put paper and pencil together. Don't write.
Harsh.
Don't do it. Very harsh.
Wow.
That's what I took away from it. That's not what he said, by the way. He wasn't that
Yeah,
weird.
a little bit of embellishing, but it crushed you. I guess at the time, it was not a good feeling.
No, it was not a good feeling. I don't know why the hell I'm bringing that up right now. Cocaine. I understand now.
Okay,
Wait,
cocaine. Okay, yeah.
Well, it had to
connect some dots.
I'm connecting that. Yeah, but I don't connect dots. But I had stopped using drugs completely for 6 years. I stopped in 1970. And I was in a band, and Janet basically laid the hammer down, which is, you're going to go ahead and get a job or I'm out of here. So The reality was I did. But before we did that, we had a party at our house. And my brother-in-law was someone who could basically supply the coke needs of all of the people there. So this literally happened. I don't know which came out first, Annie Hall or this incident. I don't remember. I really don't. But what happened was my band was certainly into cocaine. The couple of guys were using. I wasn't. And they said, come on, it's the bicentennial year. It was the 200th anniversary of the 1776 freedom that we had from England. So somebody's passing around this mirror with cocaine on it. And I tried inhaling, but I wound up coughing. And then when I coughed, a whole bunch of this cloud of dust blew up, and it wound up landing on the floor. And these guys are going, holy shit, I can't believe it. What the hell's wrong with this guy? And this scene is actually replicated in Annie Hall. It just reminded me of that incident that happened with cocaine. And somebody was then saying, like, do you have a vacuum cleaner? And so I said, Janet, we have a vacuum cleaner. She said, yeah. Could you go get it? And then this guy was vacuuming the shit up so that they could basically... And
that's why she was like, divorce impending.
Well, it was 12 years later, and we had some kids in between.
Yeah.
That's a weird way of getting there. That's a long...
Yeah, well...
All right. Let's move on.
Moving on. A couple decades later, me and my coke nail, which mind you, I've never done cocaine. I don't plan on ever doing cocaine. But I know that coke nails exist. I actually don't really know exactly what you do. I really don't want to replicate it.
You probably put your finger in it and then you rub it on
your nose or your gums. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know either. Listen, I couldn't even use the straw.
Like, is this incriminating? For the record, I've never done cocaine. I'm not going to do cocaine.
Yeah, well, I basically, after I did the cocaine, then I wound up getting some wine and trying to mellow out. And I wound up playing my guitar for about 4 hours sitting in one spot. Not something I wanted to do again, and I never did. That was the last time I ever did it. Anything like that.
Thanks for sharing. I don't think that's how you want people to remember you. So my next question is, what is one thing that you hope people will remember about you?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't have any answer.
You want the Coke story to go down in history?
I think that there's a certain degree of humor, witticisms. I don't think I have something, I want them to know this. I'm not going to put a picture of myself on the tombstone. This is who I was. This is who I could have been. This is who I should have been. They'll remember what they want to remember. If they knew me, great. If they didn't know me, what's the difference?
Well, thanks, and I'm honored to know you. Thanks for being my dad.
Well, yeah. I had a good time.
I didn't have another
here.
Choice. I know. And there's no other option. With that being said, I am excited to talk to you again very soon on the next episode of Excuse My Baggage. And until then, bonk. Enjoy the next Meatball Tuesday. Enjoy your shrimp dinner.
And tradition. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Say goodnight, Gracie. I love you, Dad.
I love you too, Shayna.